What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another live broadcast of the Engadget Podcast, or should I say, welcome to the Matrix. I'm senior editor Devendra Hardwar, joined by podcast producer Ben Elman. Hey, Ben.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. My eyes are messed up, so bright lights and stuff are not good right now. This is actually pretty great. I should actually do this all the time. I should go Kara Swisher on this because,
Get a leather jacket.
you know, it should just be my thing because studio lights are a pain. Bright lights right in my eyes. I'm very light sensitive. It's not good. Hello, everybody who's in the chat. Hello, Deeper9, Declan, Simon B. Hello, everybody here. Crazy week, huh? We've got a lot of news. We've actually got a handful of news to discuss. We're not going to be super long in the stream because there's a big chunk of this episode that's going to come from Sherlyn and everybody on site at Apple Campus. They recorded something there. So in the audio version of this episode, we're going to throw to them, and you can hear the full chat there. So as always, subscribe to the audio chat. How's everybody doing? There are certain things I will just not talk about right now. Good morning, everybody.
I'm so ready to talk about the AI podcasters thing, though. Like, if you haven't heard it, we're going to get to it in a little bit.
Critterz, the AI movie. We will do all of that. All right, I think we're good to go. We're just going to go. We won't be streaming for that long today, folks.
Yeah. Okay.
And we will also take some time to do Q&A. So if you have Apple questions, load them up in the chat too. We can jump into them.
Yeah. So if you have been on the stream before,
by the way.
What's up?
Wrong window.
Oh,
I'm not seeing the share.
Oh, wait. There we go.
There we go.
Okay, so technical glitches aside, welcome everybody. And you know what we're about to do if you've seen the stream before. If you haven't, welcome. We're going to do a sync, and then we're going to actually get into the episode. So everybody on the stream is going to like clap or snap their fingers or something. If you in the chat want to clap or snap your fingers and like put an emoji in the chat, that's always fun. And then we're going to end up talking about a bunch of other news stuff other than iPhones. If you want to go see iPhone stuff, go to the Engadget YouTube page. We have a live stream. We have hands-on videos. There's so much. Happy iPhone week, everybody. Yeah. So, counting down from 3, 2, 1, and some silence. I'll let you know when the silence is over. Okay, silence over. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. So I'm going to do a normal intro. I will throw to Sherlyn and Drew for the first segment, and then I'll bring us back for other news, folks. So for those on live stream, just sit tight. We're going to be a bit disjointed this time. Okay. Let me pull up my show notes. All right. Let's go in 3, 2, 1. What's up, Internet, and welcome back to the Engadget Podcast. I'm senior editor Devendra Hardwar. This morning, joined by podcast producer Ben Elman. Hey, Ben.
Hey there, everybody.
Hey, everybody. This week, we've got a bunch of news to talk about. And also, Sherlyn and the whole crew from Apple Campus have a special segment that they recorded on site there about their iPhone 17 thoughts and, thoughts on everything that they touch there, including the AirPods Pro 3, all that fun stuff. If you're looking for a recap of all of Apple's news, go back and listen to the last episode because me and Nate recorded something there where we just responded right after the Apple event about our initial thoughts, and we went over all the news there. So that's where you can find all that stuff. As always, folks, if you're enjoying the show, please be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. Leave us a review on iTunes and drop us an email at podcast@engadget.com, especially if you have any questions, because those could get used in our Ask Engadget section. And join us Thursday mornings around 10:30 a.m. Eastern on our YouTube channel. You'll see our live stream. You can chat with us, and sometimes we'll even have some devices for Q&A. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case in the next few weeks, so stay tuned. Okay, let me do this here.
Yep.
All right, we'll have some news to get into soon, but first, let's head over to Sherlyn, Billy, and Sam at Apple Campus, where they're going to be talking about their initial impressions on the entire iPhone 17 lineup and everything else Apple announced. Okay.
Before we get into other news, let's talk to Declan for a second because he had an Apple question. Do you think the iPhone Air is called the iPhone Air, not the iPhone 17 Air, because when the Fold comes out next year, the Air will go away completely?
I don't think so. The Apple Watch Ultra is not the Apple Watch Series 10 Ultra, right? Like whenever that debuted. I think Apple at the very least is very good about simplifying their naming schemes or not like doing the stupid stuff that Samsung does, or whatever the heck Dell is doing right now. Oh my God. I'm still annoyed about the Dell renaming because I literally cannot tell those computers apart, and nobody's talking about Dell's new computers because we can't figure out what's cool, what's new. iPhone Air just sounds nice. It rings well, and when they have a new one, it can be the Air 2, and then it can go away eventually, because it also leaves room for the next for whatever the foldable is. It could be the iPhone Fold, it could be something else like that. They don't have to be restricted to generational naming schemes, I think.
I was thinking iPhone Duo, but iPhone Duo
You
sounds a little bit.
That's a cursed name. You don't
Yeah,
ever
yeah,
say
no.
that.
It sounds a little bit like Core 2 Duo and all of that.
No, it sounds like Surface Duo, which is a cursed device. A
Mm.
cursed dual screen device. No, they certainly will not do that. I do wonder, folks, if you have guesses of what Apple could call it, because I think iPhone Fold, while descriptive, is a bit boring, right? Because there's the Galaxy Fold, there's the Pixel Fold, and I don't know. Apple could spice it up a little bit. What could it be? iPhone Bendy? iPhone Twisty? I don't know. All right. Thanks to Sherlyn and crew for all of that, by the way. Let's move on to some other news. And the first thing that caught my eye this week is this movie called Critters. The Hollywood Reporter reported, or maybe it was Wall Street Journal. Yeah. Critters is
So
going to be.
restart that.
Yep.
Just say
hmm So, as the Wall Street Journal first reported, Critters is going to be a full length animated film using OpenAI's technology. I think the budget is around $30 million. They want to look like a typical CG film, but those things tend to cost 100 million plus because there's a lot of work that goes into that, a lot of artistry work, a lot of rendering work. It takes time, and it seems like Critters is going to try to make something on that level for a lot less money with the power of AI. I don't feel good about this. They also kind of called their own shot. They say they want to debut at the Cannes Film Festival
wait, the
next year.
Cannes Film Festival that's known for like
Yeah,
10-minute standing ovations or 10-minute boos. You're just gonna
the
open yourself up to that
famously,
possibility?
the famously non-judgmental French people.
Yeah.
You're going to bring this movie there. I think they're basically waiting to be torn apart. What's interesting is that it has actual writers. I believe the writers of Paddington 3 have
That's the
provided
only thing about this movie that makes me excited, that at least they're not getting a script that was generated by ChatGPT, you know?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's at least something. But then it's gonna be at least a script with AI visuals. I am personally not a fan of this. This feels like the first step towards what people really want AI for is just like producing cheap content. You don't have to worry about the artistry of it. You don't have to worry about all the human labor that goes into it. If you could just, hey, you have a script. Let's turn that script into an easy peasy CG movie, and maybe win some awards. And to me, that feels incredibly cynical. I've seen a lot of like AI video and AI animation at this point. I still think it looks disgusting. And I think whenever we talk about this stuff, I go back to the Miyazaki quote, right? I don't have the full one pulled up, but the idea of when somebody showed off like an artificially generated caterpillar, CG caterpillar, his big takeaway was like, I feel like this is an affront to life itself. And his full quote is pretty great. He's like, I'm not into this stuff. If you guys want to play with it, fine, whatever. Um, but I think we are going to be talking a bit more about humanity and the idea of human powered art and how that differs from the stuff that you're going to be seeing from a lot of these anybody like touting AI tools. And you're even seeing that now in ads. Like you can really tell when an ad uses AI footage or AI characters. There was that there's that like AI woman created for an ad, I think for some European company, who looks very realistic. So things are going to be getting there. It's a little uncanny, but I think for now, I'm not a fan. I don't know. We'll be keeping an eye on like whatever happens with this thing. The movie's called Critters, and they hope to debut at the 2026 Cannes Film Festival, which I also don't know how you can just call that shot, because I think you have to be accepted into the festival like while having a completed work. We see. Uh-huh. I see you're writing something, Ben.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm writing something just
Okay.
additional notes for this
For the other
like
thing. Okay.
podcast flood the zone thing.
Okay. Okay. We'll move into the next thing.
Yeah.
All right. Another story that just hit. Blue Sky is rolling out age verification in South Dakota and Wyoming. This is kind of interesting because Blue Sky opted to go dark completely in Mississippi due to their age verification laws. I think what's interesting about these other states is that they're going to still allow you to use Blue Sky to some degree. If you're not verified, you'll just get access to more stuff if you verify that you're an adult. This is all early stuff. We're trying to figure out like how all these companies are going to work with age verification laws throughout the US and other countries too. Let me see here, because yeah, Blue Sky also did something similar in the UK, where basically lets you use some of the service, and then you get more of it once you verify. In the US, Blue Sky is using Epic Games Kids web services to conduct the checks, and users can choose between several methods, including like ID scans and credit card checks. So that's going to be a way to do it. I
I
feel
don't
like this
think
is
that
the way.
Epic
Mhm.
was able like I don't think Epic would ever have been able to expect that this would be like a good sideline for their business. Like they were
It's
just like, we need to make this because we need to keep like 7-year-olds off of Fortnite.
sort of, yeah. I mean, that's probably it. I do feel like maybe the internet was just always going to lead this way too, like to balkanize the internet a little bit and add more gateways to it. The idea of a free flowing, fire hose of news and information that come out to everybody at the same time. It was a noble dream, but I do feel like in many ways it's getting torn apart a little bit. We'll see. We'll see what's happening there. But at least, hey, Blue Sky is not fully leaving South Dakota and Wyoming. But if you're in Mississippi, you've got no Blue Sky. That's unfortunate. Ben, you really wanted to talk about the story from Inception Point AI, which basically wants to flood the zone. I hate that term, but flood the zone with AI slop podcasts. I don't. 5,000 podcasts, 3,000 episodes a week. $1 per episode is the basic pitch in the headline from the Hollywood Reporter. Who's gonna listen to this stuff? Like, I
So
don't understand the pitch here. Yeah.
obviously, this is deeply offensive to me and all of my podcast friends. This is all we were talking about last night. I held my monthly like radio meetup at a friend's house, and of course, we spent like 15 minutes talking about this,
Mhm.
like before, and then ended up talking about it like after the main programming, where we were like breaking down people's radio stories.
Mhm.
So the idea is exactly as you said. It's to make a lot of podcasts with a lot of ads in the front, middle, and end so that you make money via volume, not quality. And I feel like I've gotten stuck in a lot of like AI skeptic ruts recently. So here's a bunch of reasons why this is a bad idea without even talking about anything regarding AI and like copyright and
Yeah.
the amount of energy used, so on and so on.
On a practical level, it seems like a bad idea.
So the
Mhm.
first thing that they said is that they want to make these AI hosts into full-blown internet personalities,
Uh-huh.
influencers, whatever you want to call it. Devendra, Devendra, do you remember Lil Michaela?
I do.
Do you remember FN Mecca? Of
Sort of.
course you don't. These are
Sort
two
of.
failed attempts at making virtual influencers that
Mhm.
were a flash in the pan. Like they got a bunch of followers, maybe because there were a
Yeah.
couple of like big splashy articles about it. But I mean, I went back to the Instagram page for Little Michaela, like this virtual fashion influencer,
Mhm.
2 million Instagram followers and tens of comments. Some of these comments were saying, "Man, you guys are really start like trying to do this." like keep this going in 2025? That's crazy. So there's that.
I'm,
It's
I'm gonna
less
not knock the idea entirely of AI influencers, just because I do think that's going to happen eventually. We are seeing like AI produced pop stars essentially, or fake pop stars. So we're gonna get some sort of like Macross plus Sharon Apple thing happening at some point, but you can't force it like this.
the big case study that I think everyone is working from is, of course, gorillas.
Yes.
Like the gorillas characters have their own Instagram pages. You could actually get them to, do a Prada ad or something, but that's because they've been working at this for 20 years.
hmm It was really cool when they started, because I remember when the Gorillas first popped up, we're like, who are these guys? They've got cool anime music videos, so I'm down with this. But it was interesting then. Yeah.
But the only way that you can really make a significant amount of money having, Noodle or 2D or something in a high fashion ad is because they have, the business term brand equity, that has been built up over a really, really long period of time. Something that podcast industry friend of mine says a lot is that everybody wants a cereal, but nobody wants to make This American Life for 20 years in
Right.
order to
Right.
like launch that huge moment that cereal had. I think it's the same situation with these virtual influencers.
Yeah.
Then you're getting into another thing that they talked about where they say if each of these, 5,000 episodes a week that they're producing gets, just 15 or 20 downloads, then they are cost positive on a per unit basis for
Garbage. Okay.
garbage. Yeah. Like
For garbage.
they just want to be cost positive on each episode. And I can't tell you how insane this is because this also like milks the programmatic ad market
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
all it's worth. If you're not familiar with like what programmatic ads, dynamic ad insertion, or anything is, just think about any time you've listened to a podcast and the ads that you were listening to were like very discordant to the actual episode that you're interested in. So if you're listening to something like, say, I don't know, a sports podcast, and all of a sudden there's an ad that's talking about like gardening,
Yeah.
um, that's a dynamically inserted ad. They're like, there are probably enough people who like want to buy Miracle Grow listening to the sports podcast. Usually these ads are also made by like these big production houses that also do like over the air radio commercials. So like the tone is all weird.
Are you
That's what they're
have you
trying to get
seen
here.
the ads, by the way, Ben, where they are directly responding to your content now, not just being like, "Hey, you may like Miracle Grow." I have seen ads listening
Hmm.
to a whole bunch of shows right now. I think Waypoint is or sorry, the Remap Radio folks who used to be Waypoint, but they have had ads where it's like, "Oh yeah, that game does sound cool. Now let's talk about this product," and it's all algorithm, like it's all generated.
Yeah.
The ad is responding to the content in the show and then presenting an ad, trying to hoof in an ad like in a really awkward way.
That
I
might be
get
what
why
they're
though.
trying to do in the longer term. What they're
Mhm.
trying to do right now is just like milk the programmatic market for
Yeah.
all it's worth. But if you're doing it at the scale that they're planning on doing with like 5,000 episodes a week, that
Mhm.
is going to end up driving the rates down
Yeah.
for not only human podcasters, but this business itself.
It will
Like
also create.
Inception Point is going to find diminishing returns
Yeah.
because they're making content for ad slots rather than making something that actually like hooks people in.
It's creating an awful aftertaste for consumers too, like for people who are looking for things to listen to. You're going to start to hear like, oh, this is just AI garbage. This is just AI garbage. This can push people away from the idea of podcasting entirely. Could go
I
read a book.
mean,
I could go listen to an audiobook. I don't have to deal with this stuff.
it feels like people have been pushed away from the idea of podcasting like during
Yeah.
the pandemic. It's no longer the like delicately told story. When you say podcast,
Yeah.
it's no longer the delicately told story about what it means to be human that like I'm really into from like my public radio background. It's like guys with backward baseball hats calling people females and like talking about their
Yeah.
bad
But
opinions.
that's talk radio versus like, informative journalism and stuff like and that's always been the case in the world of radio. That's like FM versus AM practically at this point. I want to point out there are some images. I'm looking at the Hollywood Reporter here. Uh, the images at the top of the story for this company, the AI generated podcast host named Claire Delish, who looks like standard Instagram model lady. Ollie Bennett looks like the guy from Uncharted. They
He
just copied the
does.
guy
He
from Uncharted, and a man in a straw hat and suit and a perfectly white beard named Nigel Thistledown.
So I listened to Nigel
Thistledown.
Thistledown's podcast because, as your intrepid producer, I need to like know what I'm talking about. And the first thing that caught my eye is that I listened to the trailer. Like people who work in radio are like, why are we working so hard on trailers? Like usually people don't listen to them.
You gotta hook people in somehow. Yeah.
You have to hook people in. I liked listening to a trailer because it serves as a thesis statement for why the podcast exists.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a really good trailer, that means that you've thought through what you want to say on the show enough that you can make something that will really like pull someone in.
Mm-hmm.
Usually there are never, ever, ever ads on trailers because why would you do that? The
Right.
trailer itself is like
It
25
is
to
an ad.
30,
Yeah.
30 seconds. Part of a trailer's utility is also just to establish the RSS feed.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll upload that to whatever your podcast platform of choice is, and then that's how you'll like populate everything in iTunes and like get all of the feeds ready
Mm-hmm.
for your announcement on, Instagram or whatever news website you may be working for. This trailer for the AI podcast Garden had dynamic ads on it.
Mm-hmm.
So even the trailer is like, this is ad space. We can fit like 3 ads in this baby. Slaps roof of podcast.
And
And
hey, we're not talking down against the idea of dynamic ads because we use them. We have to use them to survive in this world. You kind of
that's
have
the
to
way
build
things
your
work right now, but not if this company has its
Yeah.
druthers. We're going to see less and less money because the market is just going to be so saturated with
Yeah.
stuff that people aren't listening to overall.
I'd also wager, like I help run a fairly popular podcast, and dynamic ads don't do anything. They don't really do much business. You get money from actual sponsored ads, like partnerships with other brands, and like the stuff that requires salespeople to go out and make deals, or companies to pitch the platform you're on to be like, hey, do you want to be part of this like ad campaign for this thing? That all takes work. That's all human work. The dynamically generated stuff earns people pennies. It's like trying to
Yep.
make money from Spotify streams. It doesn't
Yep.
doesn't really
Yep.
work. Yeah.
So I also listened to like one of the longer episodes in Garden
Mhm.
because the trailer was actually kind of interesting. They were talking about like Victorian flower language and all of that. Like I thought, okay, if you can make a AI generated episode about something kind of interesting like that, why not? So I go and listen, and it just feels like AI wrote this. This is very interesting. Actually, like it's just so fascinating. We're going to get into something really interesting
Oh
here.
god.
Like there's just
Yeah.
so much wind up. It feels like it's a student trying to pad their
Mhm.
term paper for length, rather than actually good. I don't want to say content, but I have to say content. Like
Good.
actually good content.
Yeah. It's we're already seeing this on YouTube, by the way. Like this is so many YouTube videos are kind of that of like breathless AI voice trying to deliver facts, building up to the point that the title has or something, but it takes forever to get there. Yeah, dude named Charlie in the chat points this out. Like with the AI YouTube videos and voice is nuts. I'm running into them all the time. I spend a lot of time on YouTube. I don't really exist on like normal TV anymore. And it sucks. Like you're really only safe if you're watching channels that you subscribe to that you know and like. Like stay in the lane of good content. Otherwise, if you go out to the wilds of YouTube, it's all slop. It's slop as far as the eye can see. And these folks just want to make that true for podcasting.
And we're not even talking about like AI generated music
Right,
because that
right.
was its own trend cycle a few weeks ago. I think that was when the podcast was on summer break. Um, if you go into a restaurant and that restaurant has like a big TV playing, random, bossa nova compilation or something on
Oh
YouTube,
God.
there is a good chance at this point that that music is AI generated. It's just good enough to act as a like audio wallpaper as you have your meal, and someone in Bangladesh is making money off of those YouTube views.
I hate this because it's going to be AI all the way down, right? Like, you're going to be going to that restaurant, listening to AI generated music, listening to dealing with a dynamic menu that's priced depending on the time of the day and the popularity of this dish, and the dish is going to be vetted based on online, influencer ratings and whatever. You're going to be there with like influencers as well. Like, this is a terrible future. This is a
Welcome to
bad
Night
world we're
City,
building.
chooms.
It basically it's Night City meets the Back to the Future 2 future, which is, man, okay. This is all very sad. What do you so you're in the podcasting game, Ben. Like, how do you
Deep
feel
in it.
about podcasting as a medium right now? Because I've been doing this for a while. I've been listening to them since the inception of podcasting. I've been so fascinated with it. I've ridden the wave of like early popularity, and now it just seems like the the big money came in for like comedians and comedy podcasts and the big names who got a lot of money. And now it's just like, how can we AIfy it? How can we build up the slop more? It I don't know what
We
to
don't
do
have
with it.
enough time for me to
Yeah.
talk about like how I actually feel about all
That's
of
a whole other
this.
episode. Okay.
That's and that's also not the Engadget podcast. That's
Hmm.
Ben talks about radio for like 6 hours. Um I think that the toothpaste is out of the tube in a good way, that people have brought podcasts into their lives and they want to find information that they can put in their ears. That's the basic idea behind Inception Point AI. In the article, they talk about pollen report podcasts. And like, if we can get just 50 people listening to this pollen report podcast for, the area around Asheville, North Carolina, then we're unit positive on this episode.
Is that a real
That's
thing? Pollen
coming
report
from,
podcasts? That's a
what
real
did you say?
thing? Is that a real thing? Do those
They were
exist?
talking about that in the episode, yes. And
Hmm.
the entire like idea behind this company, Inception Point, was because one of the founders started a podcast where they just read CDC reports in the
Right.
middle of the pandemic lockdown. That was also like a really weird time for like being online and making content
Sure.
online to begin with. Everybody was super bored. Nobody was like going outside doing their normal stuff that they were used to, and they
Mhm.
were also like very very conscious about their health. So basing an entire company 5 years after pandemic lockdown on like a very specific thing that happened in, a 6-month time span also seems kind of weird.
Everything
Regardless,
weird.
people are still interested in putting stuff in their ears. They're
Mhm.
interested in good conversations, and they're interested in the delicately told stories about what it means to be human. Some people never knew anything about This American Life or any of those other documentary style
Mhm.
podcasts before this big podcast boom. That's great. We just need to connect the people and the money again, because
Mhm.
ad rates aren't really doing it.
It's
This American Life recently started doing a
mhm.
direct subscription, sort of like a Patreon that they made themselves, and we'll see what happens with that.
I thought they had like a fan club type of thing before. I know Radiolab did. Radiolab had done that way back, like a decade ago, where you could pay to be like a Radiolab member. Welcome to Night Vale. A lot of the big shows have had like memberships that get you access to the full archives and things like that. So I guess we have to everybody has to rethink these things. But for me, fundamentally, what is interesting about podcasts is that it is like the last remaining thing that relies on the glory and purity of RSS, right?
And
Like,
even Spotify is trying to
yeah,
own the concept
yep,
of that's where you put your podcast. So
yeah.
it just
Spotify is like the AOL of the podcast industry of trying to like wall garden
yeah.
in this stuff. But folks, don't forget, like the idea of podcasting came about when somebody was like, "Huh, look at these really simple syndication feeds. What if I just throw a media file in there? And who was it? Was it Dave Weiner? Like those folks back in the day. It
I
just
mean, the
became
first
a thing.
podcast was radio open source, and so
Mhm.
first podcast ever was a tech podcast.
Of course, because the techies had to figure it out.
Yeah.
But to me, that is sort of still the beauty of podcasting. It's like no matter what reader you have, if it is a true podcast, it has an RSS feed, and you can plug that in your thing, and you can listen to it. And now it's more complicated because you can have membership feeds or require, they're going to be individualized, and you have to go to a Patreon or something to get it. But the core of podcasting is RSS. It's really simple syndications, getting information out there easily to people. And that's what we used to do before social media, to be honest, or before like the rise of Web 2.0 social media. There's still some sort of beauty there, but I don't know. We need to take like the whole industry needs a thing. I've been thinking there is no like Google, there's no way to like Google through all podcasts. There's no way to like search through podcasts.
Yeah, Devendra, we can't get into this
We
because
need
I
to.
will talk
Here's our
at
startup idea.
length about like how there isn't podcast discovery, how
It's
the
terrible.
one of the reasons that podcasts have pivoted to video is because people were just like, "Oh, actually we can get the like right
Yeah,
rail YouTube recommendation algorithm to suggest podcasts." Like we've
sure.
solved the problem of podcast discovery because we're just going to let YouTube do it. But then that also means that we need video, and that also means
Yeah,
that like making a show is going to become like 5 times more expensive than it was to just turn on
trust me.
microphones.
We are
So
well aware of this issue as well.
the
Um,
the be all and end all of this before we get to the HBO Max story is pay for your content. Do the little subscription on Patreon if you like any sort of show that has a Patreon. Do the lowest tier subscription. If it's
let's hear.
$2 a month or
Yeah.
something, $20 a year makes sense, and you're really helping someone who's super duper passionate about making this show for you
hmm
continue to make it as their prime job.
Pay for your content. Pay for your creators. Ideally, creators who aren't tied to like massive corporations, because those are the podcasts that kind of deserve the money more. But pay for it, and also leave reviews. Engage. Like if you like something, share it, say it. It makes a big difference. Like just from my side of things, it makes a big difference as a creator. It also makes a big difference to the people in charge of like who enable the fact that we can even make a podcast. So anyway, good story.
Let's get to HBO Max.
Everybody's favorite media executive, David Zaslav, is saying HBO Max is going to get a lot more expensive. He thinks it's undervalued because he thinks their content is great. Yeah, here's the quote. The fact that this is quality, and that's true across our company, motion picture, TV production, streaming quality, we all think that gives us a chance to raise prices. We think we're way underpriced. They most recently raised prices in 2024. Reading from our article, right now you can get a basic HBO Max, not just Max, HBO Max subscription with ads for $10 a month. Ad-free premium costs $20.99 a month. If you want 4K, you have to pay even more, which I'm doing because I'm a sucker for that. I think it's over like $25 at this point. I could easily see adding a five to all those prices, and making people pay over $30 a month for the 4K. Because Zaslav is just a greedy executive who, he wants the revenue increase. He doesn't care how people actually feel about it. So we will see. Do you have any thoughts on
Streaming
that?
is overall just getting more expensive though.
It
Like
is.
we're just redoing cable plans, and people used to complain about like $150 a month cable bill, right? And we're just like creeping back up in that direction.
Yeah. It is. Everything's getting more expensive. The flip side of our advice is just now to like pay for the content you like and the creators you like. Um, you know, don't forget to cancel your streaming subs when you don't need them. Yeah, that's how I live through Peacock and Paramount and all those different services. Like if they don't have a show you're watching right now, cancel it until you do, because that's just money in the bank, basically. But yeah, everybody loves David Zaslav. This guy must wonder why everybody boos him whenever he walks into a restaurant, right? Just like like the Trump folks entering a restaurant. Why does everybody hate me? I don't know. I don't get it.
I was saying Boo Earns. I was saying Zaslav.
I was saying higher content prices. Why doesn't it? Why is everybody getting mad at me? That means more for me. That means more revenue. Anyway, let's move on to what we're working on. I wrote a piece about Nvidia's GeForce Now with RTX 5080 GPUs. I forget if I mentioned this before, but the piece is up now. The GeForce Now stuff works really well. So my main recommendation is if you are a gamer, it is probably worth spending $10 a month for the GeForce Now 1440p connection, just to be like, hey, you could play your games anywhere in your home too, like your games from Steam and all the major storefronts. You can play them on a Steam Deck. You can play them on a laptop if you're bored at work and you have the ability to play during time off. Like you can get some gaming time in. Super useful. And it is cool that the ultimate price is still $20 a month, and that one gets you for some games gets you RTX 5080's level quality. I've been playing it on my gaming rig here, so I've had a lot of time of like looking at games being powered by an RTX 5090, 5080, 5070, all the high end stuff, and I've had a hard time telling the difference between this streamed quality and the stuff happening locally. That's pretty wild. The big downside is that the it takes a lot of bandwidth. For the you don't need the horsepower, but you need the bandwidth because the new 5080 plan supports up to 100 megabits per second. So that means at times my stream was hovering between 60 to 80 megabits, just sucking in video data to look smooth, to keep the frame rate low, to keep the like lag and latency low. That is the big downside. GeForce Now and all the streaming services will work best in a world where the internet is perfect, and then you'll have access to everything. But if you have any hiccups, if you have a Wi-Fi issue, if you have any internet connectivity issue, that means no gaming. So that is still a big downside. But I've talked to people who have gaming rigs and have like older GPUs. Buying an RTX 5080 right now costs at least $1,200. That is a really powerful GPU. On your current gaming rig, you could just like pay $20 a month for GeForce Now and get like pretty a good quality graphical upgrade that'll still look good on your monitor too, because they support up to 4K 120 hertz now and 1080p 360 hertz. That's what you want for like a Twitch shooter. So I was playing Overwatch 2, looked good. Cyberpunk looked incredible. If you have the bandwidth, if you have strong internet, I think it's totally worth it and kind of a no-brainer for anybody who really really loves games. I would have loved this in school. I would have loved this like man, things are just so much different now.
The other side of it, though, is which college students actually have money for a monthly subscription. I
Mhm.
remember being broke as a joke.
I mean, sure, for sure. Um, for those that have gaming rigs or pay attention to gaming, it's people find money for the games, unfortunately. So I was just thinking of like what I could do. Like I had an on-campus job. If you there were ways to survive college, but you had to
Yeah.
avoid it, unfortunately. Let's move on to our picks for the week. Why don't you go, Ben? Because I've been talking for a while.
So I think I talked about the McGee album. That's
Mhm.
MK.GEE album, 2-star in the Dream Police a few weeks ago. It's like a very sensual guitar album. I saw a bunch of
Right,
people
right.
online saying that it brought back the great tradition of not knowing what the hell that white boy is saying. Like kind of croonery, um, R&B inspired. Uh, the people at the pop cast at the New York Times were like, well, finally, sexy guitar music is back. And I totally agree. I really, really enjoyed it. It was one of my top albums of last year. And so my big pick for everybody this week is the collaboration between McGee and this R&B artist, Dijon. This has been something that's been going back and forth for a number of years. They met, I think, a little bit before the pandemic. McGee helped Dijon on his first album, Absolutely. The video for Absolutely, there's like a little mini movie that recreates kind of the conditions in which Absolutely was recorded. So it's just like a bunch of people hanging out in a very cozy, like living room sort of setting. Of course, they redid all of this stuff on a soundstage. Um, and it just feels like really earthy and natural. And you get to see Dijon just like singing his heart out. The veins are popping out of his neck. He's talking about love and loss. And it was like transfixing for a lot of people. I think it was one of those albums that made a lot of industry people take notice. Um, and I also think that it informed McGee's album Two Star,
Mhm.
because he wasn't doing like a super sexy singing voice before he started working with Dijon. Dijon recently released another album called Baby. It was super well received by like music critics. To be quite honest, it's a little bit of a too experimental R&B album for me.
Mhm.
But I'm so happy these guys are getting the press and like recognition inside the music industry that I think they deserve. Both of them worked a little bit with um, Bon Iver on his most recent album, Sable Fable. And then Justin Bieber released 2 albums so far this year, Swag and Swag 2, that feature heavy production credits by McGee and Dijon. Dijon co-writes and features on a song. I'm just so happy for these guys. And if you like kind of alternative R&B, alternative like guitar and stuff that honestly sounds kind of like the Police and like sexy 80s music, go check out McGee and go check out Dijon for the alt R&B stuff.
I do miss sexy 80s music. That's the whole vibe. But thank you, Ben. I have a couple things I want to mention. Like everybody else in the world, I'm playing Silk Song. Silk Song is good. Silk Song is tough, and it is definitely getting me back in that groove. Like it was kind of an indescribable groove with me for Hollow Knight. I've played tons of Metroidvanias. I love the genre because it makes people really consider the joys of 2D gaming. I have distinct memories of playing Super Metroid and Symphony of the Night. So it's like that stuff. The fact that we've kept this genre alive, I think is beautiful, and I'll play like every iteration of it. But there was something about Hollow Knight that was just like a perfect blend of like gameplay and atmosphere and music. It's a gloomy game, but it felt really chill and peaceful to me. And I think I was playing it like during pandemic time too. So it was like a way to just chill my brain. Silk Song is a lot of that again, but also more acrobatic, more platforming in ways I think are genuinely frustrating. Like there are things about this game. Um, I don't know if you've played any, Ben, but in
I've
Hollow,
watched people play both Hollow Knight and
yeah,
Silksong, and I just wish that I liked platformers more, because there have been
this is the thing.
so many good platformers that have come out in the last few years.
Hmm.
It's something that's really accessible to indie devs,
Yep.
but I just really dislike the timing the jump really well, and like
That's
that
the beauty
doesn't
of it.
turn my brain on like it
The
does for
thing
other
about
people.
me is I think platformers are like the purest expression of video games, right? Like that was among the earliest stuff we were doing in gaming. And for me, the like lightning strike moment, the first one I can remember around technology and art and everything was playing Super Mario Brothers for the first time and just being like, oh, this is amazing. This is I want my entire life to be around this. And I think I was 5 years old and I was hooked for life after that. It is a thing. It's a thing you have to get used to. But anyway, Hollow Knight introduced this thing called pogoing, where if you'd like do a down sword, you can hop off of enemies and obstacles and stuff, and it was a way to get around things, and also deal with enemies and stuff. Um, Silksong takes pogoing to an extreme because your down attack is like an angled attack. So, Hornet, the main character, will like jump up and do like a side angle jump and then bounce up, and this game early on has you doing like three of those across spikes to safety, and it's a nightmare. I do hate that aspect. Like it's not fun. It's not good. I think Team Cherry is a little insane for putting that stuff way early. But you do get used to it. You do learn it. The bosses are tough and interesting. The world is still super immersive and mysterious. And even though gloomy, kind of chill. There's more color this time. I'm loving it. And what's weird is like I am normally not a fan of the like punishing tough games. I'm not a Dark Souls
This game
or
is notably hard.
notably hard. So it's just sometimes hard things can be fun. Whatever floats your boat is a little different. Ben, I would have you ever played Symphony of the Night?
I haven't played Symphony of the
That
Night,
is a
no.
perfect video game. Right down to the cheesy voice acting and the terrible 90s script. That game is perfect. So if you play any platformer, Symphony of the Night is the one. Super Mario World, you'll learn the basics of it. Mario World is so much better than any of the others.
But
But you
also
can play
go
Mario World.
support like Hollow Knight and
That's
everything.
true.
I just
Have you
checked the
played Super
sales
Mario World,
numbers.
Ben?
What's up?
Have you played Super Mario World?
Maybe.
I'm
I
doing
remember
those.
playing a lot of like Super Nintendo with like older relatives,
Uh,
but I don't remember which Mario games it was.
this is where the age gap comes in because
Yeah.
again, getting a Mario World for Christmas and the Super Nintendo, that was such a momentous occasion. Platformers are great, and I'm glad that we're still showing love to them. So shout out to Silk Song. I'm glad it's finally here. I do think Team Cherry has pissed off the entire indie gaming community because they're like, "Hey, the game you've been waiting 7 years for, yeah, it's
This
coming out in a
game
couple weeks."
took Steam down, allegedly.
It took the Nintendo servers down. It took every storefront it was on down practically. And then they were like, "Yeah, this game that you were waiting so long for that we could probably charge anything, and you folks will pay it." They charged $20 for it.
They
And
sold
then
5 million copies though.
yeah, but other indie devs are like, "Guys, we are we are not in this stat like we're not going to be a certain we're not certain we're going to sell millions of copies, right? We need to price our games at $30 and $40." And given like the breadth and depth of this game, they could have gone to 30 easily. They could have gone to 40. But this game initially started out as DLC for Hollow Knight, and from what I've read, they basically like feature creep themselves into making a full game, and then feature creep themselves into working on it for 7 years because it's just a small team. They don't know when to tell each other to stop, and they're just going to keep going and keep adding features and content, whatever. So there's a bit of madness going on there, but gotta love them. Gotta love Team Cherry. Shout out to Silk Song. It's good. I'm playing on Switch too, so the Joy Cons are not great for it, but I also wanted to recreate my Hollow Knight Switch situation, so I'm doing that. Also, shout out
You-
to the paper.
oh yeah, I was just go on. Shout out
Yeah.
to the paper.
Also, shout out to the paper, the sort of like Office reboot by Greg Daniels and folks. It's on Peacock right now. It's interesting. It's an interesting way to bring back the idea of The Office. It's a very much a message show because it's entirely about the death of journalism and the importance
Mhm.
of journalism in media. And The
The
Office was
people
just
who
about
work for the paper are volunteers, right?
some of them. Some of them are probably.
Okay, but like not everybody's getting paid, and this is really talking about like
It's
the
called
hollowing out
returning
of
for
local
exposure in
papers.
media, Ben.
Yeah.
We all do that. But the thing is, The Office was just about some folks in a boring paper company. That's it. It's the office life of an American company, really dull, really boring. Except there is within that you find humor and drama. This one has a message. I think kind of in the way that the Good Place had a message, and Greg Daniels was involved with that as well. It's the first few episodes are not that great, but I think it's kind of building up to something interesting. So there's that. Check out the paper if you've got Peacock. Maybe they're going to put some episodes on YouTube or something for people to check out. Also, finally, in pop culture picks, I want to shout out to kind of a monumental passing that happened on the internet recently. Um, Maru the box loving cat passed away recently. I got this news yesterday, and I'm terribly sad because I loved Maru. I remember watching those old like 480p Maru videos. Maru loved box. He just loved boxes. You show Maru a box, he would jump in it. And his owner would just like create these really cute videos, these really cute like practical short films. These were among the first like viral internet videos that would get shared around. And it's a shame. It's a shame. He lived a long life. I think it was 18 years.
Yeah,
Long
that's a
life for a
really
cat.
long life for a cat.
Yeah, but Maru gave us hours and hours of entertainment. So I love Maru. Very sad that we see the news about him passing away. Or her. Is Maru a girl? I don't even know. I don't even know. Maru was just Maru. Maru was just like some beautiful creature that loved boxes. So R.I.P. Maru.
Okay, we're gonna hang out for a little bit longer chat, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna do the end of the episode, all that stuff to wrap up the audio. So that's the end of our episode. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for listening. Thanks for listening. Our theme music is by our theme music is by game composer. God darn it! When I
It's okay.
mess up, yeah, no,
Take your
when I
breath.
mess up, it
Take your breath.
snowballs. Okay, let's start again. Our theme music is by game composer Dale North. Our outro music is by our former managing editor, Terrence O'Brien. The podcast is produced by me, Ben Elman. You can find Devindra online at
At Devindra on Blue Sky, if you're in the right state, I guess. And also, I podcast about movies and TV at the Filmcast at thefilmcast.com.
Send me more alternative R&B to heybellman at Blue Sky. You can email us at podcast@engadget.com. Leave us a review on iTunes because that really does actually help. And subscribe on anything that gets podcasts. RSS feeds, definitely. Also Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin says you were in my head. I know that you love to razz me about like messing up the outros, and I did the outros pretty well for the last couple of weeks, but
All right. Let me see. I see a comment from WX Romer here. Thank you for listening and joining us. They're saying it's AI ad slop for the stuff we're talking about. If the podcaster is not presenting the ad, it's a scam in my mind. I will say you're going to have ads from other sources. That's how radio works. That's how content works. So sometimes podcasters need to pull in ads from other things. It doesn't have to be AI, but it may be a syndicated ad or something. So keep that in
and
mind.
also if you are not like a really big podcast or if you
Hmm.
aren't working for like a media organization, that means that you're very unlikely to have a sales team.
Yes.
And it's the sales team that really negotiates all of the stuff when it comes to doing host read ads. Host read ads are the most expensive. Like the advertiser pays the most, the actual like show and producer gets the most out of
Hmm.
those ads, but they're really hard to figure out if you don't have like a whole bunch of people negotiating deals. So
It's
if
yeah.
your favorite show is, just a few people like recording this and editing it all of them all by themselves, then the likelihood that you're going to get programmatic ads goes way, way up because you can only negotiate so many ad sales deals yourself.
And also ads are unfortunately a fact of life, right? Like people are not everybody's charging money for their Patreons. If they want to do a thing, they're gonna have to put in ads. There are easy, fast ways to skip ads. So many things you could do. If you're listening on your AirPods, just say, "Hey, blank, skip, fast forward 2 minutes, fast forward so many minutes." There are ways to move through it, but they're also a necessity to produce content because things aren't just free, and also not everybody can have a super successful Patreon. So that's the other thing too.
Also, like
Mhm.
in a lot of cases, the Patreon is like good extra money, and you still need to
Mhm.
run ads to begin with because that's
Yes.
also
Yes.
just kind of good practice. Like they balance each other out.
Hmm.
If you end up like getting less and less money on ads, then the Patreon balances it out. But like
Hmm.
Patreon has its own churn. Sometimes a bunch of people unsubscribe all at once, and it's not because they hated the last episode. It's just because like they forgot that auto renew wasn't on or something, and so
Yes.
their yearly
Or they change
subscription.
their credit cards, and then yeah, they don't update the Patreon information, which tends to happen quite a
Yep.
bit.
Yep.
Let us know, folks, by the way, if you have any questions around Apple stuff, because we can probably plug some responses into earlier in the episode.
Yep.
Um,
Marley Loves Movies says PBS Passport is $5 a month or less, by the way.
it's great.
Love PBS. I was actually just on Canopy, that other streaming service that you can get through most libraries, like putting a lot of Ken Burns documentaries in my like to watch feed and thinking, okay, like how can I get the Vietnam War, like that Ken Burns documentary
Mhm.
from I think 2017 or 2018 or something. That's only on PBS Passport, and it's even more important to support PBS than it's ever been because the CPB Corporation for Public Broadcasting has been defunded. So support your local PBS station unequivocally, and then you can also get access to their streaming service.
Support PBS. Support all public broadcasting if you can. Um, let me see here. Support your public library too, because it's all kind of the same thing. If you have a library membership, you can also get access to free audiobooks and things like that, or things through your membership. Ben, I didn't get to ask you what it. So you have seen what Apple has announced. Like, what would you consider an iPhone Air as your replacement? I think you're still up. You should go Pro. You should
No,
just
I
stick
should go
Pro.
pro. Like this
Yeah,
is
you're a
the
content creator.
best thing.
Come on.
Yeah, the best thing about working for a tech podcast is that I've been able to like really sit and think about this for a long time, and get some really high quality feedback from the biggest phone nerds I know.
Hmm.
And the thing that I know is that I'm going to be going pro. I might not get an iPhone 17. I do like saving a little bit of money, and the 16
Hmm.
is totally fine. Um, we've been talking about that for a really long time.
That's true.
Um, the thing that I found really interesting in the live stream when they announced the iPhone Air is the iPhone Air is really amazing. We've done so much work to figure out the internals so that we can have the biggest battery possible, and you'll have all day battery. Also, like for no reason, like this is totally out of left field, we also have this battery that like
Yeah.
MagSafe's onto the back of it. Like don't worry about that, this is just something that we want to like
Secret thing.
mention as a
Yeah.
possibility.
And once you put it on,
Everybody knows what that means.
yeah. Well, they sell MagSafe batteries for every iPhone, but it was funny seeing that juxtaposition there. I do think that is a product that should exist for a phone like that. But it's funny once you put them together, you have a normal sized iPhone. You know,
Yeah.
like that's the thing. What is funny in the stream, they were like all day battery life, and we're like, there's no number attached to that. Normally, you say
Hmm.
like 20 hours of video or something. There wasn't for the Air. There was when you put the Air together with the battery. They're like, yes, 40 hours of streaming video support. We saw in the press release that there are actually numbers for the Air, so Apple's not fully hiding that. They just didn't say it in the thing. Zedar is asking, who's the iPhone Air for? And that was a question that we were thinking about on site. The thing is, like, I was super skeptical given everything we heard from Mark Gurman. Like he was saying, like battery life could be an issue. It's probably going to have only one camera. It in fact only has one camera. It does 2x zooming through like a fun cropping, um, but it does look cool. It does look good, and it's thinner than the super thin Samsung phone that they announced. And even then, just like
I want
seeing
to see
the
how
wrinkles of
thin
that,
it is
I
because
want
I
to see
was
how thin it
talking
is.
with a like real Apple fanatic friend of mine who's
Yeah.
like, could your iPhone SE 2020, he's talking about my phone,
Mhm.
um, be about as thin as the iPhone Air? And I was like, no, that can't be. Like
No.
they know how thick a SE is, and they're gonna want to
Mhm.
be thinner than that.
No, most definitely. And the SE was a bit of a chunky boy. We were talking about millimeter differences, right? Like really, really minute differences. But when you shave down a large device a lot, I noticed this with the iPad Pro, when you hold it, when you feel the balance of it, it does make a difference. I'm sort of half tempted to just get the Air just to feel like what that difference is, because I know what using a Pro phone is like, and I like the cameras and everything. My main goal is like eventually, whatever an iPhone Fold comes out, sure that would be a thing I would consider, but functionally, like practically, it doesn't make sense. But also there is something to the joy of pulling a thing out of your pocket, and it is like the size, the width of a piece of paper. It is just kind of wild how small that is. The pros
I'm
look good too.
curious whether or not it's going to bend too. I mean,
Yeah.
something that thin is can possibly have a problem like that.
Well, before the bending was because the cases were mostly metal, and now it's like there's still metal in the cases, but also there's the ceramic shield on the front and the back, and that alone is a hard material.
Hmm.
Ceramic shield too. So I don't know if bending will be the issue. I do wonder, because it has the new Pro chip. It has the A19 Pro, which the iPhone 17 Pros have as well. Those have really sophisticated cooling to deal with sustained performance. So that's doing a lot of work, shooting a lot of video, doing a lot of stuff. The iPhone Air does not have that. It's going to have like lesser cooling. I feel like it's going to be the difference between the MacBook Air running, an M4 or whatever, and a MacBook Pro, which actually has a fan. The MacBook Air does not have a fan. You can do hard work on a MacBook Pro for longer because there's something cooling that chip down. Your device isn't just like sweating and throttling down the entire time. Apple did mention there's some throttling happening in the Air as well. So functionally, practically, the Air is a bad choice. You're going to get better battery life on any other iPhone most likely, but also sometimes novelty is fun. Like that's the only thing I can think of. I think influencers would be
The
really
iPhone Air is going to be a fashion choice.
for sure. For sure.
It's going to be like you're going to see a model in New York City. Of course, I can't not think about that because you go to Manhattan, you see literal models, and there's going to be somebody who's like, "I am a thin and long person, and I want a phone that like matches my profile."
I mean, think back to the original Moto Razors, and like how those things were ridiculous because like for the screen, it just had to be a really, really thin piece of metal. Dude named Charlie is mentioning the pros are going from titanium back to aluminum. That is disappointing because I did like the change to titanium and kind of how light that made the Pro Max feel. But with the pros, it's now a unibody aluminum case. So that may mean they're able to use less material. And I was comparing the weights. It's not really that much heavier than the 16 Pro or Pro Max. It should be stronger. It should be more durable. The Pro phones don't have glass on the back because they have partial aluminum at the top and also ceramic shield around the MagSafe area and also for wireless charging and everything. And ceramic shield is a little different than pure glass. It should be stronger, should be less, scratch. It should be more scratch resistant and stuff. So I would love a phone where I know I don't need to have a case, where I know it's gonna be tough. Because I used to scratch
I
my
was
iPhone just
yeah,
by
but
putting it in my
I'm
jeans.
watching the stream and they're talking about ceramic shield and everything. I'm looking at my phone that I never put a screen protector on,
Mhm,
and I see like sometimes I have like seashells in my pocket.
mhm.
Sometimes I've had like keys in my pocket or like
Yeah.
other like sharp bits of metal, and there are like divots in this screen. I'm
Mhm,
thinking whenever I get a new phone, I am never not going to have a screen protector on it. I don't care about how
mhm.
crazy good the glass is. Um,
Do you have a
I'm
case
not going to
for
leave that up to chance. So I had a case for a long time. The case
mhm.
recently got so bad that it was actually it was like an anti-case.
Okay.
There were like sharp bits of plastic coming off of it, so I need to get a new one.
Clean your cases regularly because if you let dirt accumulate on the inside, that also can scratch your phone, scratch the glass, and all that fun stuff. It would be nice. It would be nice to have a phone that we know is untouchable and you don't have to put anything on it for it to be safe. I used to scratch my iPhones just by putting them in my jeans pockets because jeans have those little like metal divots sometimes.
Oh yeah, the rivets.
Yeah, sometimes those things would do it. I don't know. Give me a strong phone. Part of me is like, I would just to do something different for a year. It'd be nice to play with the iPhone Air, but practically the Pro makes more sense. It's going to be faster, more powerful. I love having those cameras, and I've gotten used to the bigger screen of the Pro Max. Although the iPhone Air has a pretty decently large screen too.
Dude named Charlie says
Mhm.
stick to SE, brother. And I don't think I can.
A 2020 SE, no,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Yeah,
Well, I mean, it might be like a 2021 SE or something because
right,
I
right.
have the SE2. There is the SE3, and that's the
No.
only other SE that has existed now. Like, they're probably going to come out with another SE
Mhm,
in a year or so. That's my own prognostication. That's not
mhm,
any information that Engadget has. That's
mhm.
just thinking they're probably going to make a budget phone or something. There's a wide speculation that this next budget phone is probably going to be the first budget phone without a home button and all of that. But I don't think I can do that because whenever I talk to Devindra, and a lot of these conversations that we have about what phone I should get are literally broadcast. You can go back and watch them. Devindra's like, if you work in media, you need to be a content Swiss Army knife. You need to be a
Yep.
platform that can do audio and video and pictures that are also really good and sharp and clear. So I don't think I can get away with just an SE anymore.
Well, there was the iPhone 16e, which was a phone made for nobody.
Yeah.
It was not cheap enough, and it's still lacking major features.
Yeah, that's actually a good shout because I don't know if there's going to be another SE if you have the E line, you
No,
know?
this is what the SE turned into. Is like current
Yeah.
thing plus E, but also not as cheap as an SE because I
I
don't think
forgot
anyone
about that
can
for a second.
exist. Everybody forgot about the 16E because I have
Because
never
it's
seen an iPhone
dog
16.
water, that's
It's
why.
wild. Yeah, it's terrible.
And then
If you
there's
want
a
to save
big
money,
question of
mhm,
like if people didn't like the 16E,
mhm,
how different is the 16E going to be from the iPhone Air? Like of
mhm,
course they're going to reap some benefits
very
from like
different.
the newest possible chipset and everything. But I
Mhm,
think it would be really interesting for
mhm.
a tech website such as Engadget to do a head to head of 16E versus iPhone Air and see
It's not even the same like
like what the
target
situation
market.
is.
It's not the same target market.
It's
16E
not
is
this
for people who want to save money. The Air is $1,000. It's a whole different ball game.
sometimes comparing apples to oranges I think could be interesting because
Apples to
like
apples, yeah.
no, but this is apples. You just said it's a completely different market, so it would be apples to oranges, not apples to apples.
Yeah. It's
Um,
you should consider, Ben, the refurbished 16 Pro or
mhm.
Pro Max. If you're trying to save money, I love refurbished phones. You can do really well there. The main thing that's nice about buying a new iPhone is that usually you get it through a carrier and then you're paying month to month for it.
Yeah,
And often get like deals stacked on top of it too, like discounts stacked in depending on your trade in, which is really the way to go. Apple did mention that you're going to get, I think it was $800, but if you trade in a Pro phone, you will get 800 off a new Pro, which leaves not, you still have a chunk to pay left over, but you spread that out over the cost of the term of a contract. It's actually not that bad. That's how I've
yeah,
gotten all my phones.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Oh,
consider
so we have
conservative.
another thing to talk about, which is Devindra. I
Hmm.
think you probably know a lot of people who are super duper enthused about this orange color for the iPhone
I mean,
Pro.
I am. Yes, color is great. Color is great. What's wrong with color? We've had no color in the pros for a long time, so it's great.
No, it's just like so surprising that everybody's like,
Yes.
traffic cone orange. This is
Yeah.
amazing. Like, Apple probably wanted people to be that excited about the iPhone Air, but they weren't. They're excited about a iPhone that you can also use in a like car pileup situation to direct people where to go.
Bright, I love bright colors, and the reason they weren't able to infuse colors really well into the pro cases before is because the type of like material it was, I believe, and also the getting into the back of those phones, I believe they couldn't quite get strong colors. So that's why they're all kind of either silver or slightly darker gray, or slight blue. I think that's what I have right now. But now that you have a unibody, aluminum the unibody phone once again, you can pour all sorts of colors into that thing. So yeah, I am tempted. I'm tempted for the orange and the big Pro Max if I do an upgrade this year. But also, I've noticed I have the 15 Pro Max, so this is 2 years old now. I can still do Apple Intelligence stuff. This is still a really nice phone with a lot of great features, and I don't need to do anything. I feel like my upgrades this year, I've already pre-ordered the AirPods Pro 3. Ben, like I want to know about your thoughts on those once you get them or get to listen to them. Because
Yeah, I'm
so
curious about that, and the thing that I really want to see is how fast the translation actually happens. Because when I was talking about this with my Apple friends a couple of days ago, I was saying that the most likely situation is going to be that when a newscaster is on like a bad satellite feed
yeah.
in some place that doesn't have the best broadcast equipment, and so the person in DC says like, how are things in Jakarta? And the the other reporter is just standing there kind of blankly for like 3 seconds. And they're like, okay, so the situation here is so on and so on and so on.
But you
I
can hook it
imagine
up with
that's
data,
probably going to
right?
be what
Yeah.
happens because
Mhm.
it can't be instantaneous.
You
Like
can
if
hold a
it was
conversation
totally
with a guy.
instantaneous, they would have
Yeah.
done a live demo, but Apple doesn't do live
They don't do
demos.
any live demos. The thing I also want to point out is that Google has had live translation capabilities on Pixel phones for a long time and together with the Pixel Buds. So what I really want to see, and I hope we have time for this, is to do a demo comparing Google's live translation versus Apple, see the speed differences, see the usability differences. The thing about those broadcasts, Ben, like when newscasters do that, they understand that there's a delay and they kind of time the conversation for that. And maybe people will learn like, hey, I have these on, I'm holding up a phone that's translating to you, this is a process that's happening, can we deal with that? I think for people who are vaguely tech savvy, that could be doable. For maybe you're traveling and there's an old shopkeeper or something, that may get a little annoying, but I don't know, it's a start. Yeah, I'd love to start doing this stuff somehow.
Declan asks,
you know,
does the translation happen on device or in the cloud? Do we know?
Everything happens on device, it
Oh,
seems.
that's great.
Everything happens on device. And what is interesting, well, and the device is the AirPods, apparently. Well, I don't know. It's probably going through your phone too. The live translation also works on the AirPods Pro too. Again, those things just keep getting updated, keep getting like good. Um, that's compelling. I'm also compelled by the Apple Watch Series 11 just because I have an old Apple Watch. I'm like, you know, I need better health tracking. We're all slowly dying. I would love some health data and alerts, and I need to be better about that. So Apple Watch Series 11, I may get just for that fact, and the hypertension monitoring, all that stuff. That seems useful to me.
Devendra, always planning for the future by imagining the worst and hoping for the best.
That's how you live. I don't understand this is a philosophical thing. I'm not an optimist by nature because I've noticed when things get tough, the optimists fall apart. They're like, "What? This is not the most like
Things
this
are not easy. Oh no.
they crumble. They crumble. It's great to be a practical, a pragmatic realist."
There's another question from
Yeah,
Declan that I was also talking about with Apple Friends, which is whether or not there's going to be a Series Red, a
for the
red edition of the
for Google.
phone. And they haven't done is it Project Red?
I forget. Yeah, Project Red, I guess. I got my mom a 12 plus, iPhone 12 plus
No, that's
with the
CD
red.
Project Red.
CD Project Red. But I got my mom a 12 plus with the red, and it's a nice red. I like bold colors. We should stop being
Product Red.
Project
That's the
Red.
big difference. Product in parentheses red. Um, yeah, because my iPhone SE is a product red. It's not necessarily because I love Bono or anything. I'm still annoyed at him for non-consensually giving me a U2
Yeah,
album.
we're all annoyed. We're all annoyed about it
But
still.
I do like the color. So sure, I'll throw in some money to his AIDS and HIV charity or something.
hmm Declan says hypertension goes back to the Watch 9. That's good. Good to know for people who own that. I have a 4, so it's like if I'm gonna do this, I'm just gonna go to the newest one. I also think I think the Apple Watch Ultra is just ugly. Like every time I see it on somebody, every time I see somebody in real life with it, which is very rare. I see it in New York occasionally. Um, it's too big for most wrists. It just looks like a big honking thing. Like it looks like a weapon. It looks like a James Bond gadget that you want to destroy somebody with. The new Series 11 Apple Watch, they say it's thinner. The battery life seems good. Seems faster. I'm kind of down with that. I am thinking about like should I get GPS? I do kind of think eventually it would be really cool to have GPS on my watch for no matter where I am. But that also means I should leave the house more. So it's kind of pointless right now. Maybe if I do more runs and stuff. Anyway, I think people are just like Apple questioned out. I think
Yep.
nobody cares. That's it. We're
I mean, we've talked about this a whole lot, and also there was nothing that really blew your hair back. Like we knew pretty much everything there was to know a
hmm
couple of weeks before this announcement.
hmm
So
yeah. I
I'm looking forward
see.
to what Sherlyn and Billy and everybody who were actually at Apple Park have to say. Definitely go check out the audio version of the episode if you want to hear that. If you listen to this whole thing, we've been streaming for more than an hour now. You owe us a podcast download. I'm just wrapping things up, Devendra. Is there
Go
anything
for it.
else that you want to get to? So,
Go
yeah,
for it. Yeah.
thanks everybody for listening and watching. Kevin says that Ben stole seashells off the sea floor. Yes, that is true. Um, but thank you for your insight. Thank you for remembering stuff that we forget. The stream always makes the podcast and the live stream just so much better and more fun. So come back next week. We'll see you very soon. Next Thursday, probably 10:30 a.m.
Thanks, folks. We're out.